What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, it looks like undefeated, unified, WBC, IBF, welterweight, world champion, superstar boxer, Errol the True Spence Jr. could possibly be back in action against former two-division world champion, former junior welterweight unified world champion, and former WBC welterweight world champion, Danny Swift Garcia, right? It looks like this fight is finally going to come to fruition in November. Possible dates are November 14th. I'm also hearing it's a possible date of November 7th. Obviously, when you have these two high-profile boxers and athletes, more than likely it's going to be a pay-per-view event. Or should I say, it's going to be a pay-per-view event, as it should when you have two guys that's accomplished as these two boxers are. With that said, the fact that it's a pay-per-view event and there's possible talks of Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury trilogy taking place December 19th. And we know already undefeated two-division world champion, currently the WBA lightweight world champion, Gervonta Tank Davis will be in action against four-division world champion Mexican superstar boxer Leo Santa Cruz October 24th. So if this fight was to take place November 7th, then that would place it just 2 weeks after Gervonta Tank Davis and Leo Santa Cruz Showtime pay-per-view. Now, this more than likely is going to be a Fox PBC pay-per-view event, right? But with that said, right, you're only giving the people 2 weeks after already paying for a previous pay-per-view. And if the prices are not going to dip from their normal pricing, then you're asking a lot of the people to have back-to-back pay-per-views, because you're going to have Jamel and Jamal Charlo in two high-profile fights against Jason Rosario for Jamel Charlo, which is going to be a unification bout when you're going to have three titles on the line. You're going to have the WBA, you're going to have the IBF, and the WBC on the line, right? Then you're going to have Jamal Charlo against Sergey Kovalev. Sergey Derevyanchenko, right? That's a pay-per-view event. That's going to take place September 26th. Then a month later, you're going to have another pay-per-view event, which is going to be October 24th, Gervonta Tank Davis and Leo Santa Cruz. Then you're asking the people to turn around just 2 short weeks later, November 7th, to have Errol Spence and Danny Swift Garcia. That's a high-profile fight. Actually, that might be the highest profile fight, unless you're talking about the Jamel Charlo, Jason Rosario. But the thing is, Danny Garcia is a much bigger name than Jason Rosario, and Errol Spence is a bigger name, higher profile boxer than Jamel Charlo. So with that said, it's a bigger fight. So it must be pay-per-view. Not to mention the anticipation, the intrigue due to the fact that immediately after his huge win and unification win against two-time welterweight world champion Showtime Shawn Porter, September 28th, October 10th, he suffered a horrific car accident in which everybody wants to see, and there's a lot of intrigue and interest to see how he bounces back, right? Because that, you saw the video of it, and it was horrendous to say the least, right? And he walked away with just a few minor injuries. But everybody, is speculating that it's a possibility he may not be the same. So there's a lot of interest in this fight, and a lot due to Errol Spence and what's on the line. Because the mega fight is Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford, and that fight could come as an undisputed match. Should Errol Spence defeat Danny Garcia, go on like he's planning, and fight Manny Pacquiao, 8th division world champion, legendary Filipino icon, superstar boxer, and currently the WBA welterweight world champion, Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao. That's a huge fight. He beats Pacquiao, he'll behold the WBC, the WBA, and the IBF going into what is considered the biggest fight in the sport of boxing, and that's against Terrence Bud Crawford for his WBO title. So the biggest fight in the sport of boxing already, currently, right now, is Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. Now you add to that the fact that it could possibly be for undisputed, makes it even bigger. So with that said, Errol Spence is the highest profile boxer competing, not named Deontay Wilder, in the PBC. This is no slight to anybody else. It's just that the interest and the intrigue for Errol Spence is just higher than anybody else currently right now, not named Deontay Wilder. That's just the facts of the matter. And then you have Gervonta Tank Davis, obviously. So now you have two high-profile fighters fighting back-to-back pay-per-view. I can't see it taking place November 7th. That's why I peg it to be November 14th. And it could possibly take place after November 14th. I believe that Thanksgiving is November 26th, if I'm not mistaken. It's it's always the last Thursday in the month. So obviously it's not going to take place on Thanksgiving Day or anything of that nature. But so Thanksgiving is the 26th, right? So it could possibly take place on the 21st, right? If it takes place November 21st, that's even better than November 14th, because that, again, now you're giving the fans and the boxing world, especially with today's climate and to the way today's is, and having 40 million people unemployed and the pandemic, giving them a month in between pay-per-views is the best option to be able to capitalize and seize as much revenue as possible for these athletes, right? And for the promoters and for everybody else involved. So, me personally, I would think that the best date would be November 21st, thus allowing Tank Davis November. You 3 days away from it being a month away, right? Because October 24th, November 21st, right? 3 days off from it being a month apart. And then you only 2 days off from Jamel and Jamal Charlo's pay-per-view event, September 26th. So September 26th, October 24th, and then November 21st. That gives the people, then you're talking Deontay Wilder is nearly a month away from Errol Spence. That's 2 days off. It would be December 19th. Errol Spence would be November 21st. You understand? So it's giving people a month gap to be able to fit the bill for these pay-per-view events, especially if they're not looking to, cut the prices from its normal prices of $75 and such, right? But getting to the fight itself, this is a mega fight. Errol Spence, we see training, working out. He's more so training and working out than we see Danny Garcia. Now, we don't know what Danny Garcia is doing behind the scenes, but it doesn't look like Danny Garcia is working out, right? He actually looks like, he has a little extra weight on him currently right now. So with that said, the fight itself is a mega fight. I think it's the perfect test for Errol Spence at this point in time in his career, dealing with the situation with the car accident, having, this would be a year, and this would be over a year. He last fought September. Now you're talking about him fighting in November, so it would be a year and 2 months since he got in the ring, right? For Danny Garcia, it won't be such. Danny Garcia fought in January, so it's still a year for. Will it be a year for Danny Garcia? No, it won't be a year for Danny Garcia, but it definitely will be a year for Errol Spence, since he's graced the square circle and he's coming off the injury, the car situation, the car accident situation. So, it's definitely, a lot of intrigue, right? And it's definitely a test, because Danny Garcia is nobody. Danny Garcia fought January 25th, so he nearly fought in February, right? So he definitely fought far after Errol Spence, right? So with that said, Danny Garcia is flat-footed, styles make fights, but Danny Garcia has heavy hands, right? He has power in both hands, left and right. We know his biggest punch is his left hook. And Errol Spence could be flat-footed at times as well, but he's more technical, and I just believe that Errol Spence has more tools in the toolbox. I think that Errol Spence, showed the ability to box on the back foot, showed the ability to box from distance and range, as he did with Mikey Garcia, who has power as well, right, and very tricky. He's flat-footed as well, but Errol Spence showed that he can box from distance. He can use his boxing ability. So, I think that will come into play, and we all obviously know that Errol Spence can mix it up on the inside. So, I think that Errol Spence will be victorious. I think it'll be something like, 8 rounds to 4. possibly 7 rounds to 5. But I definitely believe that Errol Spence will be victorious in this situation, in this fight. Moving on to and knocking some ring rust off, getting back in a flow of things, and headed into a mega showdown with Manny Pacquiao. In that Manny Pacquiao fight, I'm expecting Errol Spence to win that fight as well. But we'll get to that. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, right? But with Danny Garcia, it's going to be interesting to see how Errol Spence deals with his style. Now, Errol Spence is, I told you guys, the worst thing I felt that Terrence Crawford did was allow Errol Spence to keep garnering more and more experience and more situations, right, with different styles. Now he's fought a Mikey Garcia, who's a counterpuncher, who's a 4-division world champion, who's was undefeated when he fought him. A lot of people say he was too small. He moved up one weight class because majority of his last 5 fights were at 140 pounds. Even when he won a world title at junior welterweight, he moved up to 147. So Errol Spence, showed a different style and showed a different side to his toolbox, right? He revealed that he has more tools than most people thought he had. So with that said, he showed the ability to box from the outside. Then, he fought Showtime Sean Porter, and he fought Sean Porter's fight. I don't know how much of that was by choice or due to the fact that it's just Sean Porter's style, and Sean Porter forces you into this types of fights, right? So, it might more so be Sean Porter's pushing his style of fighting on Errol Spence. But nonetheless, Errol Spence was able to weather the storm, knock Sean Porter down in the 11th round, then clearly win the 12th round, in my opinion, right? So he got that experience. Now he's going into a different style fight with Danny Garcia, who has a lot of power, flat-footed, and plants and throws power with every punch he throws, right? He lets his hands go in every with bad intentions and almost every exchange, right? So with that said, now he's going to deal with a different style in Danny Garcia. So Terrence Crawford is allowing Errol Spence to garner more and more experience, point blank and period. And I think that's the worst thing Terrence Crawford could have did. But we got to see how. First things first, he got to get past Danny Garcia, and I truly believe he will, and this is going to be a mega showdown. So I can't wait to see how it plays out. But the actual dates and announcements should be coming soon, and the actual dates on the table are November 7th, 14th, and I think it should be the 21st, personally. But let's see how this all plays out. But that's all I got for y'all. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hit, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.